"You're lucky we even kept you." That's what my foster mother said, right before she shoved me into the pantry and locked the door during her charity gala, while 40 guests clinked glasses in the next room. I was 19, barefoot, bruised, and I was holding a torn envelope. I'd pulled out of a trash bag, an envelope with my name, and a monthly payment history that proved I was never their daughter. I was their income stream, and before midnight, a woman in a navy suit would sit across from me and say 5 words that would end their whole life. "You were never legally theirs." Before I go on, if this story hits close to home, hit like and subscribe. Drop your city and local time in the comments. I read them all. My name is Nora Lane, and for most of my life, I was forced to answer to Nina. Let me take you back to the morning of the gala. Their house sat in a quiet, gated neighborhood outside Charlotte, North Carolina, all white brick and manicured hedges. The kind of place where the front porch has designer lanterns and the inside smells like lemon polish and money. I woke up at 4:45 a.m. because I always did. There was a list waiting on the kitchen. Island in perfect handwriting, my foster mother. Elaine Mercer's handwriting. Steam the curtains. Scrub the baseboards in the foyer. Iron the linen napkins. Set 48 chairs. Prepare the grazing table. Do not touch the champagne. And at the bottom, underlined twice, Nina stays invisible. That was my job. Invisible. Their biological daughter, Kira, was upstairs sleeping until noon. She was 22, a content creator. New nails every week, new bags every month, and a credit card that never declined. Because Dad likes taking care of his princess. Me? I lived in a converted laundry room off the garage. No real window, a mattress that dipped in the middle like it was tired too, and a door that didn't lock from the inside. Elaine called it humbling. I called it strategic. Because if I had no privacy, I had no secrets. And if I had no secrets, I couldn't leave. By 6 p.m., the house looked like a magazine spread. Candles, flowers, live jazz trio in the corner. Elaine was hosting a fundraiser for at-risk youth, which is funny, because the most at-risk youth in that house was me. Her husband, Grant Mercer, was the type of man who smiled with his mouth but not his eyes. A finance guy, perfect teeth, perfect handshake, and a voice that could turn cold in 1 second. He loved public praise and private control. The guests started arriving. Elaine floated around like a saint. Grant shook hands like a politician. Kira posed for photos like a celebrity, and I moved through the room refilling glasses like a ghost. Then came the speech. Elaine tapped her glass with a spoon. "Tonight," she said, "is about compassion, about opening your home, about giving a child a second chance." She reached her hand back and snapped her fingers, without even looking at me. I stepped forward because my body knew the choreography. "And this is Nina," she said warmly. "Our success story." 40 faces turned toward me. Smiles, curious eyes, people who assumed I was lucky. Elaine placed her hand on my shoulder, lightly, like you touch a display item. "She's learning responsibility," Elaine said. "It's good for them." Them, not me. Someone asked, "Does she go to college?" Elaine laughed softly. "College isn't for everyone." Grant didn't speak. He just watched me, like he was daring me to contradict her. Later, while guests were eating, I was in the kitchen slicing fruit when Grant walked in. He held out his empty glass without a word. I refilled it. His fingers closed around my wrist, just enough to hurt. He leaned in and whispered, "Smile tonight. If you embarrass us, you'll regret it." I whispered back without thinking, "I'm not your property." His eyes changed. Not angry, calculating. "Excuse me," he said loudly, then turned to the guests. "Nina's been emotional lately. Trauma, you know. We do our best." He steered me through the hallway, still smiling, still gracious, and shoved me into the pantry. The door clicked shut. Dark, tight air, mop bucket, detergent smell, and outside, laughter, jazz, glasses clinking. I sat on the floor with my knees to my chest and tried not to cry, because crying always made it worse. Crying gave them power. Then my hand hit something soft. A trash bag. Elaine must have cleaned out the garage earlier. I opened the bag and felt paper. Folders, envelopes, old mail. And then I saw it. A yellowed envelope with a state seal, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. My stomach dropped. I tore it open. Inside was a printout, monthly deposits, a benefit summary, and the name printed across the top wasn't Nina. It wasn't even my fake last name. It was Nora Lane. Under it, foster care maintenance payment, $126 month. For years, I stared at the page until the number stopped blurring. Then something inside me went ice cold. They weren't saving me. They were billing me. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I felt clean, like the truth disinfected something in me. I waited. I counted footsteps. When the kitchen got loud, someone dropped a tray. Someone laughed too hard. I pushed the pantry door. It opened. They didn't even lock it properly, because they never thought I'd dare. I walked out the back door, grabbed my backpack from the laundry room, and left through the side gate. No goodbye, no note, just the paper in my bag like a blade. 2 blocks away, I stopped under a streetlight and called the only number. I had memorized from the library computer, a number I'd found once while searching my name online and getting nothing but dead ends. A law office. I didn't expect an answer. It was 11:21 p.m., but a woman picked up. Wexler and Hart, this is Talia. My voice barely worked, and I think my foster family is getting paid for me. Silence then. Where are you right now? I told her. She said calmly, stay there, don't move, and don't go back. Then she said the 5 words that changed my life. You were never legally theirs. A black SUV pulled up 10 minutes later. Talia stepped out, navy suit, hair pulled back, eyes sharp like she could cut glass. I'm Talia Hart, she said. Attorney and Nora. I'm sorry, but we have to move fast. Inside the SUV, she opened a folder thicker than any book I'd ever owned. Your case file, she said. It was sealed incorrectly. We pulled an emergency access request. My hands tightened around my backpack strap. Talia looked at me serious. Elaine and Grant Mercer didn't become your foster placement through the normal process. Their certification has irregularities. I swallowed. What does that mean? It means, Talia said, someone helped them. Then she slid a photo across the seat. A man, in a county ID badge, caseworker. Talia tapped the name. Darren Pike. My brain sparked because I'd heard that name before. Elaine used to say it when she thought I wasn't listening. Darren said we're good. Talia flipped a page. A wire transfer, $7,500, from Grant Mercer to Darren Pike. Time-stamped 2 weeks before my placement was approved. My chest went hollow. So they bought me? Talia didn't flinch. Yes. Suddenly, my whole life made sense. Why Elaine never let me have my documents. Why Grant controlled my phone. Why they didn't want me going to college. Why they told people I was troubled, unstable, dangerous. Because if I seemed unreliable, no one would believe me if I ever spoke. Talia said, we're taking you to a hotel for tonight. Tomorrow we file an emergency petition. What petition? To remove you from their control permanently, she said. And to open a criminal investigation. I stared out the window, watching streetlights blur. I kept thinking, they built their whole image on saving me. And now, the thing that would destroy them was the truth they hid inside a trash bag. 2 weeks later, we walked into the courthouse. Not as Nina, as Nora Lane. Elaine arrived, dressed like a grieving angel. Grant came in confident, arm around Kira. Kira had her phone out, ready to film, until she saw the reporter. Because yes, there was a reporter. Talia had filed everything correctly. And when paperwork is correct, it becomes public. Talia presented the evidence. Foster payment history over $140,000. Lack of schooling records. Medical gaps. Locked living space photos. Wire transfer to the caseworker. Certification irregularities. And a statement from a neighbor who heard Grant screaming at me through the walls. Grant's lawyer tried to object. The judge looked over her glasses and said, Counsel, I suggest you sit down. Then the judge turned to Elaine. Mrs. Mercer, did you ever report that the child lived in a converted laundry space? Elaine smiled tightly. She exaggerates. She was always difficult. Grant leaned in and whispered to Elaine. I saw her flinch. The judge noticed, and that's when something happened I didn't expect. Kira stood up. Not for me, not out of kindness, out of panic, because she realized her lifestyle, her bags, her trips, her content, had been funded by money meant for a child's survival. She stared at her parents and said, "Tell them it's not true." Elaine's eyes went wet. Grant's jaw went tight. And for the first time, the room saw it. Not a perfect family, a machine, and I was the fuel. The judge read the decision. The Mercer's foster certification revoked, restitution ordered, the caseworker referral for criminal prosecution, and my legal identity corrected. Then the judge looked at me. "Ms. Lane," she said, "I'm sorry the system failed you. But today it stops failing you." The gavel hit, and it didn't feel like revenge. It felt like air entering my lungs for the first time. 6 months later, I live in a studio apartment with a window that gets full morning sun. I'm studying, working, learning how to exist without waiting for permission. Some nights I still wake up thinking I hear the pantry door. But then I stand up, walk to my window, and remind myself, no one is paid to keep me anymore. No one owns my name. My name is Nora Lane. And if you're watching this while living in a house where love feels like a contract, where gratitude is demanded, not earned, I want you to hear me. You are not a burden. You are not a paycheck, and you don't need permission to leave. If this story touched you, drop a comment with your city and local time. And if you want the next story, the one where a girl found a safe deposit box that wasn't meant for her, check the link in the description. I'll see you in the next one.